Hi everybody, Desert Guardian here, and today I've got an interesting pistol to show you in my new pistol showcase. I've got a FN 509, so let's take a look and see what's in the box. So inside the box we've got our lock, got a nice little carry bag, we've got some literature, manual, all the stuff that comes from FN. So go ahead and set this aside. We'll open up the nice little range bag here. Inside we've got spare mag, spare back strap, and of course the pistol. So we'll set this aside and we'll take a look at the FN 509. All right, so here it is, the FN 509. The FN stands for Fabrique Nationale. It's out of Belgium. As most of you may know, they have done a lot with rifles, a lot with military weapons. John Moses Browning was in with them a long time ago. This one is actually made in Columbia, South Carolina, still owned by Fabrique Nationale, obviously. But this is FN's newer striker fire compact carry pistol. So it's right up in the same ballpark as like the Glock 19 and the CZP-10C and Smith & Wesson M&P series. In fact, let me grab a Glock here so we can do a little comparison. Got a Glock 19 and the Smith & Wesson M&P 9. So we'll take a look at all three of these for some comparisons. But let's take a look at the 509 first. So here it is. You know, this is your 4-inch barrel. It is actually a lot higher capacity than some of the small compact pistols out there. This one's more of like a carry size, not a compact size. So it is a little bit longer in the grip, but it's a 17 round magazine. So 17 rounds. You know, get that extra couple of rounds. So this is a Glock 19 size capacity with a Glock 17 size slide on it. It's fully ambidextrous, and that's one thing I do like about it is hopefully we can see this in the picture, the magazine release is like a push-pull style. So what it does is it connects right here with the magazine, and you're pushing from either direction to make it let go. So for you lefties, you push. For the righties, you push. It also has ambidextrous slide release. So I've covered this before. It took Glock 5 generations to put that on their pistols, where, you know, FN, Smith & Wesson, a lot of other brands have had it that way for a long time. So it does have nice front and rear serrations. I'm always like that, you know, for the people who like to press check, for the people who like to cock it from the front, from the rear, whichever. You know, just nice to have it on there. I feel like the pistols that don't have it on there right now are the ones that people are sending out to their favorite machine shop and having them put on, you know, i.e. my Gen 4 Glock 19. But this one just comes up, set up, ready to rock. The slide does have a nice little bevel to it. I do like that. Adds a little bit of class to it, a little bit of flair. It also has a really good bevel to the front nose. You know, I think that's nice to have on a carry pistol, because if you're carrying, it doesn't matter if you're inside the waistband, outside the waistband, if it's a carry pistol and you're carrying it on your person in a holster, it's good to be able to get it in and out. So that's something that, once again, that's something that Glock took 5 generations to have a carry bezel on the Glock 19, but they finally have it. Another thing that really stands out is the grip texture on this. So you can see this has got a lot on the front and rear back strap and a very deep texture on the sides. Gives you a very positive grip. That's really nice to have. And there's a lot of pistols out there that can kind of go either direction. You know, like my wife's first generation M&P 9, I've said this before, they kind of missed the mark with it, with a more of a smooth, I mean, well, it sure feels nice to hold in your hand, but if your hand's wet, or if you're in, have gloves on or something with some sort of trying grip issue with your hands, it's not as aggressive as a lot of them out there. I mean, even the Gen 4 Glock has, what do they call it, the RTF2 on there. It's better than the original, but it's not as good as it can be. FN really hit the mark on that one. It's got very good positive grip on there. You know, they even run a little bit of grip up on the sides here, you know, for your thumb position. You know, I'm sure people are going to send it out and have this area stippled right here for your index finger to rest on, but it doesn't come that way from the factory. It does come with a ledge rear sight. So if you need to boot cock it, belt cock it, or table cock it, you can do that. They are a night sight on there. They are not a tritium night sight. I believe they're just a standard, you know, if they're a tritium, then they don't seem to have the power of my other tritium night sights. But, you know, let me see if I hold it up to a light here for a second. Yeah, see, so they're more of your standard glow-in-the-dark material, where it's going to take a bit of a charge to get the most brightness out of it. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. You do have a 3-dot sight set up on it. You know, if you need to see that much in the dark, guess what? That's what the accessory rail is for. It does have a, you know, a 4-position Picatinny rail here for whatever accessories or lights you want to put on it. That's something that most people are going through, other than Glock. You know, Glock still sticks with their standard Glock rail, but this has a full-length Picatinny rail on it for your accessories, so it really opens up the door for different lights or lasers or whatever you want to put on it. All right, so let's take a look at it here. Oh, there we go. We'll disassemble it. So here's the frame. Gosh, it looks kind of like a striker-fired pistol. You've got your trigger down here. The trigger bar goes all the way to the back. It does have the ambidextrous slide release on it, so that makes a big horseshoe all the way around the trigger. Rear trigger block with the rails, front rail system. So I mean, that's kind of your general striker fired setup there. You do have a dual spring recoil spring on it. A lot of people are going to that now. It gives a nice smoother recoil and a bit tighter. Of course, you got your kind of standard carry length 4-inch barrel. Of course, in your slide, you know, you got your striker here. You know, it's a striker fire pistol. Now, there is one thing that I have done a little research on and heard some concerns on with, and that's the trigger. It feels a little bit gritty. Now, I did some research, and a lot of that has to do with this spring in here. You know, people are saying, oh, you can pop that down, pull off the back plate, clean it, lube it, do whatever, but there's a million ways to get it to be smoother. And from what I've heard, people who go out and shoot these things a lot, people have a lot of rounds through them after they're broken in a little bit, that gritty trigger goes away. There was one review I was reading where a gentleman talked with the FN distributor and got to look at his pistol, and it was just smooth smooth as silk. But then he went and bought one. He's like, oh, it's all gritty. So he's lubing it up, running a ton of rounds through it, and hopefully having a bit more success. So let's take a look at the trigger. So surprisingly, this has a nicer trigger than I expected. Striker fire pistols, they're no 1911. You know, they don't have a straight pull. They don't have the super crisp break. You're going to have to do some work to it if you want it to be perfect. I mean, you know me. I'm out putting aftermarket triggers and springs in it, like my Glock here. Nice crisp break on it. Whereas the wife's M&P 9 still has the original trigger on it, and if you notice, look at that. It's got a hinged trigger, just like the FN, but still, it's kind of squishy, with kind of a squishy break. Now the FN has the hinge trigger, so there's going to be some take up in that trigger, but if you notice, the hinge moves a bit, but that has a good solid wall to it. So you get past the hinge of the trigger to the wall, actually a really nice break. The reset is an audible and tactile reset, crisp break. So I really like the break on it. Right, this, I mean, can you hear that? See if I can get it. I don't know if you could hear that. I tried to get it real close to the microphone. But it has this really gritty feel to it. Now, this one hasn't been shot. All it's got is the factory lube on it. So, you know, the break and the reset are both really nice and tight. That grittiness, I'm hoping it goes away. So I want to do a little more research on it. There are some videos on how to clean up the trigger for a smoother trigger. I know Apex was actually working on a trigger for this. Agency actually had a program for triggers on it. They built some of these with their triggers on it. I don't know about either one of those, if they're continuing those programs and making the aftermarket triggers, but there are a lot of these out there. A lot of people really love them. FN makes a fantastic product. They do. It's going to be durable. It's going to be reliable. It's going to be accurate. So being able to clean it up with a crisper, or not a crisper trigger, but a smoother trigger is going to make this gun. You know, I've got a friend who picked up the new CZ P10C that he's going to let me show that off here in a little bit, and that trigger is very, very smooth. I would bet that this one here has a crisper break at the very last minute than the CZ P10C, but that grittiness, that movement getting up to it and then back out of the reset is what is lacking in this pistol. It's a great pistol. It's going to do everything you want it to do, but being a trigger snob, being a 1911 guy and a guy who always replaces triggers, it just leaves a little bit to be desired. Would it keep me from owning one of these? No. Would it keep me from carrying one of these as a defensive pistol? Heck no. No, they're a great, reliable pistol. It just has a different feel to it. I mean, like I said, we can go back to the M&P 9. I mean, that's got a mushy trigger and there's nothing in the reset. But I love this pistol, and my wife loves it. We like shooting it. It's a great gun. You know, I'm a Glock guy, and I replaced the triggers. You know, this is what needs to go in this. So, well, now that I've got these other two here, let's do a little size comparison. So, the 509 and the Glock are almost exactly the same size end to end. They have a little bit different shape in the frame, obviously. This one's slanted, the Glock is all squared off, but you set them like this, they're about the same length end to end, and same height at the trigger. The biggest difference, of course, is going to be in the grip, because the FN runs 2 more rounds than the Glock 19. So if we pop a magazine in to the Glock and the FN runs a little bit more flush than the Glock does. So hopefully we can see that. See if I can pick it up. So you can see it's maybe a 1/4 of an inch difference with the mags in, just because of how flush it runs. Now that does make a difference if you're concealed carrying it. If you're appendix carrying it, you know, and you don't have a huge frame to back it up, this could be poking into your shirt. If you're carrying it at 3 o'clock, it could be sticking out the back. So that the width of my thumb makes a big difference. A lot of people can get away with carrying it. I got a pretty big frame. I can probably concealed carry this without it sticking out at all. So let's compare it to the M&P 9. And we're going to find the same thing. The barrel length is about the same. Now the M&P 9 has a little bit different shape in the grip and runs a 15 round. Oh, I'm sorry. That says 16 on it. So it's running a slightly higher capacity. It's not the 9C. It's not their compact. So this would be the 4-inch M&P 9, the first generation, and you can see it runs about the same size, same capacity with the same barrel length on it. Now, the M&P 9 does run a little bit of a beaver tail out the back. The barrel on it I think is 4 1/4 instead of 4-inch, so it's a little bit bigger than the 509. So 509 is going to get you the slide length and the barrel length of a Glock 19. Got that 4-inch barrel, kind of the industry standard for carry size. Does have the grip size of a Glock 17, but it gets you the 17 round capacity. So it meets awesome qualities all over the place. It's always going to come down to personal preference. What do you like to carry? What feels good in your hand? What you know, where are you concealing it? What size is your frame? What's going to stick out where? And that's all going to come into consideration. But hey, I totally recommend grabbing one of these, going out and shooting it. Go to a range where you can go shoot one, put some rounds through it, and consider it. If you're looking for a nice, great size striker-fired pistol, the FN 509 is a great alternative to everything else on the market. I mean, you've got your Glocks, you've got your Ruger SR9, you've got your M&P, you've got your CZs, you've got so many options out there, and of course the Glocks. Definitely give this one a look. You know, if it fits your hand and you like the way it shoots and it works for you, man, go grab it. It looks like a nice, solid pistol. Feels great in my hand. I'm looking forward to getting out and shooting one of these. You know, I wish this one belongs to Pistol Parlor, so I can't take it apart and mess with it and lube it and, you know, put a bunch of rounds through it or anything like that. It's not mine. So I get to give this one back. Hopefully I can get my hands on one that I can actually feel what that trigger feels like when I lube it my way and clean it and get it rocking and rolling. But right out of the box, it's no tremendous slouch. It's got a nice break on it. Good audible reset. Nice break. Yeah, check it out. The FN 509. Great little pistol. And like usual, guys, if you have any questions, concerns, or any comments at all, feel free to comment below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But for now, Desert Guardian, out.